Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be going into our 5th episode of Beyond Blue. Thank you once again, everybody that has been showing me some support. I'm glad you are enjoying the videos. Feel free to let me know what you think, leave some comments, ask me questions. I would be happy to discuss anything about the game, about ecology, anything you're really interested in learning, just let me know. That being said, let's dive back into Beyond Blue.
I know it seems like Andre worries about everything, but I really understand where that comes from. Everyone's seen the pictures, but I can tell you it was really tough to be doing hands-on work when we were losing entire species. For me, it was the whales, but for Andre, it was the turtles. I stayed to help him. Several of the other scientists did as well. By then, only Andre's protected nests were the ones producing turtles in the region. We all figured that the population was going to collapse, and eventually it did. But seeing this large man spend day after day carrying tiny turtles from the nest to the water, it inspired us to stay. Coming back now, it feels like another world. Andre is not an angry man, Irina. He's just a man who gets angry when he sees people say it's too hard, or that they don't care at all.
Yeah. Yeah, we did see this part before. It's kind of just replaying over since that's just where the save point was for this one. So let's just quickly go through this again.
Hi, Mirai. Sorry to miss the post-dive brief. I've been listening to our humpback recordings for hours and got myself in a kind of funk. Actually, I started listening to the humpbacks and then switched to Miles Davis. Anyway, I don't see any clear sign that our playback influenced any of the other whales yet, but I just know we're on the right track. I'm sorry to be in such a mood. Don't know what to make of those turtles or what's going on with our sperm whale family. Right. Catch you in a bit.
All right, so our next dive, it looks like we are going into, let's see, a brine pool. Okay. Brine pools are super interesting, so this should be fun. It's like its own little lake under the ocean. But let's go ahead and get in the water.
Day 12. Spent the last 5 days on an endless series of depth tests of Andre's deep diving suit. Guess he doesn't want me to implode on the live stream. I do hope it's giant squid proof though. The mapping drone located a brine pool near where Andrea's family has been hunting. That is before I went AWOL. Ready to dive.
Now this one's going to be kind of a dark.
And okay.
I'm going to adjust the brightness
sure I can't
real
talk
quick.
You into another test dive at this depth before we stream.
Enough test dives. It's all... like I'm doing a spacewalk.
Well, with this suit, you probably could.
Are we gonna talk about suit crush depth again?
I think we can probably roll.
Starting the live stream.
Welcome back, ocean friends. Tonight, I am deep. Midnight zone, no light from the surface deep. Tonight, we're using Andre's lure drone to mimic the Atolla jellyfish to lure large predators like the giant squid.
It's certainly not all my tech. I'm building on years of prior research.
Don't forget our mission to the brine pools.
Oh yes, Irina will fill you in on that later.
All right, so our first species down here in the dark. Got some lanternfish here now as well. And as we are going down deeper into this underwater area, brine pools are super interesting. I'm going to be excited to look at those. We have lots of different types of fish at this depth. Even though the ocean itself is dark and gloomy, a lot of these fish develop bioluminescence to stand out or attract food, different reasons. But since, as you can see, there's hardly any light down here, they have to improvise. And there's just so many cool species that live in the dark. I know I mentioned it previously, but like blobfish, when they're down this deep, they don't look as creepy as they do when they get to the surface.
Andre, how do I find the lure drone?
Look for blinking red lights in the water column.
Oh, it looks like we found the blinking red lights. Let's see if we can get over here and start our first objective of the dive.
No need to get too close. You can activate the lure from there.
Andre, have you done this before?
I haven't, but others have.
How long until we can expect the lure to attract a predator?
It's hard to say. It's a big ocean. But if you lose patience, I would find some real Atolla jellyfish. I have a feedback system set up to improve the lure as you scan them.
Of course you do. For those watching, we will be scanning these Atolla jellyfish to make sure Andre's lure matches the real thing.
It does, but it can always be refined.
Not much confidence in humanity, but plenty in himself. Got the jellyfish scans, though Andre doesn't need them.
In truth, they should improve the lure. I would not waste your time.
Getting a few impolite comments on the screen pointing out that giant squid don't feed on Atolla jellyfish.
They're right. Actually, the Atolla puts on this light show when under attack, in order to lure creatures big enough to eat their attacker. Might have some useful human applications.
I think we need more Atolla scans to approve the lure.
That was actually another interesting fact there that, yeah, they don't get eaten by the larger predators. They eat what's larger predators eat what's trying to eat them. Oh, that's the one we already scanned. Then we need this one. And as you can see, they also look like
Whose
giant
idea
eyes.
was it to live stream this particular dive? I am glad I can't see the comments.
I would agree. My grandmother had a saying for times like this. I'm not going to try my grandmother's accent on a live stream, but loosely translated, it means if you get bored waiting for a giant squid, you can always go to a brine pool.
That's a pretty specific saying.
I think that's the part I'm most excited for. The idea of a brine pool is just such an interesting ecosystem. You have the extremophobes that live inside of it, that have developed chemical adaptations to survive the highly sulfuric brine pools. And then around it, you get all sorts of different predators feasting on the dead animals that cross the toxic zone. So there is so much to a brine pool that it's just really cool. Still one of my favorite aspects of underwater.
Atollas were already making their blue alarm before you swam close.
Most likely a sign that they have detected predators in the region that threaten them.
I did forget that this mission was a little bit linked, like this setting up the live cam on the lure is a little lengthy though. Oh, what do we have here?
That gave me and chill.
Oh.
I know how much you enjoyed that, but do you mind if we check out the brine pool before we check on our whale camp?
If you insist. You got what you wanted. This is my giant squid.
Is that another one of your grandmother's sayings?
No, but she often used this one. Hurry up and collect my specimens for me.
What an expressive language.
It's no giant squid, but I promise you, you won't have to wait to find it.
All right, it looks like we are set to go down to the brine pool now. But that's pretty cool. Giant squids are such a unique, like, it's so interesting that we don't really see them ever unless they wash up on shore dead. It wasn't until recently that we caught one on live, like, camera footage. I want to say that happened maybe, I know it's not recent now, but it feels recent to me, is like early 2000s. I'll put the exact date up on the screen once I figure it out. But it was one of those where we just have never seen one in person until we just got lucky one time on a camera. Because the ocean is just such a vast landscape. And as you can see, it's almost pitch black down out here. So even if you put a camera, you're going to have visibility so shallow, catching anything is amazing. Alright, so here's a brine pool.
Welcome to the brine pool. I know it's really a salt lake under the ocean, but it looks more like a witch's brew. I have been teasing Arena, but a brine pool is a diverse microenvironment within the ocean. It has its own ecosystem.
And each one is unique. So that means the microbiology is unique and could hold groundbreaking solutions to human problems. Each time I take new samples into a lab here on this ship, it's this magical discovery moment where I tingle all over. I fund my own research so I can pursue what I know to be important. And people ask me, how much money are you going to spend to collect some bacteria at the bottom of the ocean? If these bacteria hold the cure for a disease that relieves even just a small amount of human suffering, how do you put a price on that?
That is some giant squid.
And that's another unique thing about brine pools, is their ecosystem is so diverse. Like, we don't know nearly enough about what's around here. As science improves, we definitely have gotten better, and we can identify more different species that live in and around, like mussels, for instance. A lot of deep sea mussels will set up colonies around brine pools to collect the chemicals they need to thrive. So around a lot of these sulfuric brine pools, you'll see deep sea mussels. There's also the hagfish, which we do have to scan, that swim in and out of it. They're one of the more unique predatory species that actually can handle the toxic environment. And actually, I think we have one right there. Oh. Maybe if I can catch it. There we go. So it's a lot like a worm. It looks a lot like a worm. Hopefully we can get a better image. If not, we'll open up the book here in a second and take a look at our science facts on it. But as you can see, around the edge of the brine pool here, we have all these different predatory fish that will just be looking for dead animals that have fallen victim to the sulfuric poisoning of the brine pool. Ooh, maybe we can catch up to this one. Oh no, come back. See, they look a lot more like a eel or a worm than what you would normally think of about a fish. But that is another thing about deep sea. you will see a lot of unique shapes because the pressure is so strong down here. It causes their structure to form differently. Although we are looking for one more of the samples here. We are getting a chance to catch up on some of the scans of the brine pool with the different hagfish that are around. Now again, I'm not big on the microbiology. That's not really my area of expertise, but there is a lot of microbes and microorganisms that live inside these brine pools that can use chemical processes, kind of like photosynthesis, except it's chemosynthesis, to break down these chemicals and utilize them in growth. So there's lots of cool stuff about brine pools. I definitely don't know a lot, but if you do have questions on it, definitely ask them. I will do the research, I'll look it up, and I'll make a post about it. It's one of those where I love it, education.
Right, pushing you a waypoint.
Sperm whales are back on the hunt.
Look for the drones. They will seek out the sound of the sperm whales and then idle nearby.
We hope that today, Andrea's tech will make it possible to document how a sperm whale hunts the giant squid.
But this is a little bit of a darker episode. That tends to what happens whenever you get deep down. Alright, here's our little drone. There's our sperm whale.
Let's go tag some sperm whales so we can eavesdrop on their hunting.
One of our viewers wants to know if there is a problem with the link, since the waypoints keep appearing and disappearing.
No problem. The drones are in stealth mode, so they will only track the whales by sound.
I better swim fast.
And here's our sperm whale.
We'll keep good watch over you.
And then the other one was where? There we go. I cannot imagine how scary it would be to be swimming in this at night. Like, I feel like I'm going nowhere. But maybe we will get to see a sperm whale hunting a giant squid. Oh, there we go.
Whoa! What just happened?
I think the squid knocked the camera right off.
I had that camera feed in full screen on my visor, and for a second, I thought it was lights out for me.
Sounds like a good time for the sub to pick you up. Live stream out.
This was definitely a lot shorter of a dive, but I might try to fit in another episode. We'll see. Or another dive, I should say. But let's take a look at this.
It's Irina. Since there's no dive today, I'm going to lose myself in the wet lab to work on those samples you sent up from the brine pool. Hey, have you listened to my daughter's track? Interesting, right?
Maybe we'll watch some of those insight videos.
Mirai, remember the tag we found on the turtles? I put it out on the network and I got the strangest message back. I'm gonna take a tender to a small island nearby and check it out. I'll explain everything later. Still no mapping drone, by the way.
Hey, it's me. Nana didn't qualify for the study. Doctor says we missed the window. Whatever that means. Hard to tell what she remembers now. It's tough. Not sure my head's 100% there with school. Honestly, seems like a waste of money. Anyway, see you.
All right, so that was that mission. It looks like our next dive is going to be a mineral study of deep water vents to kind of look for the origins of life, which has been a constant thing for years. Everybody wants to know how life came to Earth. And there's the science side of things, there's the religious side of things, but no one actually knows. Although we are making breakthroughs in genetics and origins of different species all the time. Maybe in the future we will see that come up here. But before we do the next dive, let's take a look at some of these ocean insights. Let's see if they have any about the brine pool. So let's play this.
Brine pools are amazing habitat. It's a lake on the bottom of the ocean. And it's the surreal seascape. Chemically, each one of them is unique.
There's the mussels.
Brines undoubtedly contain bacteria, archaea, and viruses that are unknown to science. We know that they're incredibly rich in undescribed life forms. They have the perfect cocktail, the perfect recipe for life. These sites aren't just salty, they can be violent, characterized by eruptions and incredibly unstable conditions. So to live in them, you have to not only be hardy, but you have to be able to endure constantly changing conditions because not one day is the same. The organisms that live there, they undergo a constant biological warfare with each other to dominate the environment, to survive in the system. The biochemicals that they produce to do that biological warfare are applicable to curing diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's. They produce antibiotics and antivirals that can also be used to improve human health. And we drop targets as we go, so we know exactly where we sample. Exploring these habitats is absolutely necessary because the metabolic potential there has the capacity to change the way we think about medicine, to change the way we think about antibiotics, based on our knowledge that we gain from studying these incredible environments in the deep sea.
There we go. So a little bit more about those brine pools and how they are so important to the science aspect and the medical aspect. But I think that will do it. I know this episode is a tad bit shorter. I'm trying to keep them around 30 minutes. But I don't want to bore you too much with just other videos. Maybe we'll watch one more. Let's meet the team that were actually part of this study, which the game is kind of loosely based on.
My family used to go to the beach every summer. For me, that was my favorite thing to do all year long, hearing the seagulls, the sound of the ocean pounding on the beach. For me, that was just grounding and relaxing and fascinating all at the same time.
The physicality of the ocean is one of the things that, as a kid, attracted me the most. That thrill of just having that ocean energy push me along. You could just ride all day. There was no lift tickets, there was no fees to get into the ocean.
When I describe to people what it's like to dive on a coral reef, they're like, oh, I never thought about that. They've never had a shark swim right beside them. Look them in the eye and give them a little fright for a second before they realize that the shark just wonders what I'm doing, just like I wonder what the shark is doing.
I started free diving. So when I think of diving, I really think of free diving. Like this is what whales do, right? Take a big breath of air and they hold that oxygen inside their body. This ability to free dive down to where the scuba divers were, swim around and come back up, was just so free. Nothing on, no equipment. I just love that. It made me feel like a fish.
When I did my first submersible dive, I realized it wasn't just that I was meant to be out on ships. I was supposed to be in the bottom. I don't think anyone has ever measured endorphins in submarines, but I can tell you they're probably through the roof.
The first time I was in a submarine, I saw that life down there and 50 new questions popped into my brain that wouldn't have come up because it was this immersive experience and I just felt it.
When you're in a submarine and you're looking at these magical environment, you're overwhelmed by this sense of wonder. You're humbled by this feeling of there's so much I don't know about the world, and you're stimulated to figure out how this all works together.
I'm a marine biologist. I'm someone who studies the ocean from as many angles as I can.
When my kids ask me what I do for a living, I tell them that I'm an explorer. I'm an aquanaut. I dive down to the bottom of the ocean and I see things that people have never seen before. How lucky am I to be able to share this amazing habitat with the rest of the world?
All right, so that's kind of meeting some of the people that helped make this happen, help this actual study go through. Again, I'm going to probably end the episode here. I know it's a little bit shorter than normal, but if you are enjoying the series, like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I was able to teach you something. Have a wonderful day, and until next time.